All right, in this fly tying tutorial, I'm going to be tying the Fat Head Minnow. This is something that I've come up with that is kind of a cross between a gurgler and a resin-bodied minnow, like a glass minnow. Cool thing is this fly floats high up in the water column and is perfect when fish are actively feeding on small minnows up top. This particular fly is fashioned to look like the mosquitofish, which is our local forage fish. However, you could probably swap up the colors to match your local hatch. In the vise, I have a Daiki 1710 and a number 8. This is a 2X long hook, and I will be tying the fly with 6/0 uni and black. I'm going to start the fly about a hook eye's length behind the eye. And take our thread down to the barb of the hook. Go ahead and snip away our excess. For the tail, I'm going to be using some marabou. I actually have a patch of Osceola here. I like the Osceola because it's got these kind of white tips on the end. But you could use a grizzly marabou or just a standard gray or black. Like for the tail to be about the length of the shank of the hook. And we'll capture that right at the rear of the fly. And I like to just kind of trim that away at an angle. And then we'll just go ahead and wrap our thread back into the tying point, up to the tying point. And then just take it right back down. Next, I'm going to tie in some craft foam. This is the 5 mil. I've cut it about 5 millimeters in width, and it's probably about 5 centimeters long. You can trim this down into a point if you want a little bit skinnier body. I'm actually going to leave this the way it is and tie it in and kind of build a little bit of a fatter body. I like to tie them both ways, both skinny and fat, but I think for the sake of demonstration, I'm going to just tie this the way it is. I'm going to capture this with some loose wraps. And I like to leave enough foam to bring it back up to our tie-in point. Again, just some loose wraps right now so you don't just cut right through the foam. And on the way back, we'll do some tighter wraps to kind of compress that foam. And again, back up to the tie-in point, continuing to tighten and compress that foam down. And then right back down to the tip of the hook. The next material we're going to tie in is some glitter spun. This is just like a flat body braid. I'm using silver here. You can pick this up at Hobby Lobby or your local fly shop. And what I like to do is, again, kind of tie this in where it's the length of the entire body. So we'll tie in at the tip of the hook and then bring our thread forward to the tie-in point. Trying to keep that up top. Something about like that. And then we'll go ahead and wrap our body. Capture it with our thread. And then cut away the excess. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is put on some eyes. All right, next we're going to use some UV thick resin to encapsulate the entire body. I like to start with putting kind of a drop between both eyes. I like the thick for this. Just hit that to kind of keep the eyes in place while we work. I'll flip it over and do the same thing. Just making sure I get the resin to touch both eyes. Just going to pulse my light. Just get a soft set. And now I'm going to go ahead and encapsulate the entire body with that thick resin. And I'm just going to continue to spin my vise while I do that. Build up a nice round body. And you want to make sure that the eyes are fully encapsulated. And I'll go ahead and set it with the light. Looks pretty good. Might go ahead and do a little bit more around those eyes. Just to keep everything nice and durable. Next, I'm just going to touch that with some Sally Hansen's. That will just keep the body from being tacky. And we'll let that dry. Okay, our Sally Hansen's is dry. Now we're just going to bring our foam up over the top of the fly, and we're going to capture it right behind the eye. And we're going to try to keep this on top of the hook. We're going to take several loose wraps first, and then begin to cinch down. That's about right. Next, we'll go ahead and just snip off the excess foam. I like to leave it just a little bit longer than the eye of the hook. Something about like that. And we'll go ahead and whip finish. And we'll snip away our thread. And there you have it, the Fat Head Minnow. Great little fly for when fish are feeding up top. What's cool is the foam sits outside of the water, so really the profile of the fish is just that resin body and the tail. You probably could use different colored foam, like white or something more visible, so you can keep an eye on it a little bit better, but I'm really trying to match the hatch with the mosquitofish, so to me this is a good representation. But feel free to tie it in different colors based on your fishing conditions. Give it a shot.